Good evening, my friends. Republican former U.S. Senator David Perdue will go against incumbent Governor Kemp in a primary fight in 2022. President Trump dismissed Kemp as a RINO and instead endorsed Perdue. The former president has also endorsed a number of other candidates from North Carolina, including Representative Ted Budd, former Representative Mark Walker, and Bo Hines. Trump has brought North Carolina's conservatives together for the benefit of the voters. Okay, my friends, let's take a closer look together. Welcome to the Eye Opener. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. Republican former U.S. Senator David Perdue announced Monday that he will run for governor of Georgia, setting the stage for a bitter primary fight against incumbent Kemp. Meanwhile, Democrat Stacey Abrams also announced she will run again for governor of Georgia. She lost to Kemp in 2018. In a statement on Monday, former President Trump called Perdue a great senator who truly loves Georgia. Trump dismissed Kemp as a RINO who cost the Republican Party 2 Senate seats and a presidential victory in Georgia. Meanwhile, another candidate who has Trump's support is also making a move. Former Representative Mark Walker of North Carolina launched a campaign this week to return to the House in 2022. Walker made the move after meeting with Trump in Florida on Saturday. He's expected to run in the newly redrawn 7th Congressional District, which will encompass much of northern North Carolina. And another Republican congressional candidate, Bo Hines, will run in the 4th Congressional District. This will leave next year's Senate Republican primary in North Carolina between current Representative Ted Budd and former Republican Governor Pat McCrory. Budd has already received Trump's endorsement. David McIntosh, president of the conservative group Club for Growth, praised President Trump for bringing North Carolina's conservatives together to present a path that would truly benefit voters. North Carolina's Senate race could be one of the handful of key races in 2022 that could determine whether the Republican Party can reclaim the Senate it narrowly lost in the 2020 election cycle. Republicans are defending 20 of the 34 Senate seats up for election next year, including the open seat in North Carolina, as well as Ohio, Missouri, Alabama, and the swing state of Pennsylvania. However, they see a chance to turn blue seats red next year in 4 states: Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, and New Hampshire. Republicans are impatiently awaiting the 2022 midterm elections, which they hope will restore their majority and lead to a presidential victory in 2024. President Joe Biden and Democrats are hitting rock bottom in terms of public support, thanks to their disastrous far-left policies that have led to soaring inflation, chaos on the southern border, a pandemic that has failed to end, an alarming relapse into energy dependency, and a sense of public powerlessness against growing overseas aggression by the Chinese Communist Party and Russia. House Appropriations Committee member Chuck Fleischmann said his administration has gone too far to the left compared to any in American history. And I've never seen an administration in such a short period of time take the country so far in the wrong direction. Democrats' policies have always been wrong, and they are actually destroying the country sadly. Fleischmann also said that the Republican Party will have to fight them in every way, shape, or form. A united Republican Party would be strong enough to moderate at least some of Biden's far-left policies. Representative Jim Jordan from Ohio said when Republicans regain the majority, they will continue to fight the damaging policies of the left and stop the Biden administration from going further and further down the road of destroying the country. Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform, said that once Republicans regain control of Congress and the White House, the first thing they will do is restore all the policy of the Trump years. Whether Trump returns to the White House or not, Republicans will take every opportunity to restore his policies. Jordan said he has little doubt that Trump will run again in 2024 and will win another term in the White House. He also dismissed the possibility of a split in the party because of Trump, who continues to be popular among Republican voters. And the anti-Trump faction of the party, led by Representative Liz Cheney, can do little. Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council, argues that conservative voters are looking for someone who fights for what they believe in, who they feel is dismissive of the leftist elite and wants to silence them and control their lives. Donald Trump stands up to those people. President Seton Motley of DC-based nonprofit organization Less Government said he would prefer someone with Trump's policy agenda who is not Trump run for president. We need someone with the right policies and the right personal and political skills to more fully see them implemented. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is probably the best candidate. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is also a popular choice. Facing stiff competition from rival Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company Limited, TSMC, and demands from the U.S. government, Samsung announced on November 23rd that it will invest $17 billion in a new semiconductor manufacturing plant in Tyler, Texas. The massive investment, the largest in the United States to date, comes at a time when there is a global shortage of semiconductor chips. TSMC is investing $12 billion to build a new fabrication plant in Arizona. After Samsung confirmed the site for the new plant, South Korea media commented that the investment is expected to deal a heavy blow to the Chinese Communist Party's ambitions to become a semiconductor giant as the U.S. moves to secure its own supply chain. It also shows Samsung's increased focus on the U.S. supply chain, which could be interpreted as Samsung's participation in and support of a U.S.-led supply chain rebuild. Both the administration and the governor of Texas have applauded Samsung's bold investment plans. Samsung said the new plant is expected to create more than 2,000 high-tech jobs in the U.S., as well as thousands of related jobs. Technology companies such as Samsung have seen their 5G market share increase after the U.S. sanctioned the Chinese communist telecom company Huawei. In addition, the semiconductor divisions of Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix were able to easily outpace the CCP's pursuit of the global market. Many South Korean high-tech companies such as SK Group and LG, as well as GM Korea, have now announced plans to invest in various technology sectors in the U.S., including not only semiconductors, but also batteries, hydrogen technology, energy solution, and electric vehicles. A Pew Research Center study shows that 25% of black Democrats consider themselves conservative, and 43% say they are moderate. Felicia Killings, CEO of the Conscious Conservative Movement, told Fox host Ainsley Earhart on Monday that her father raised her to be a conservative. In fact, black Americans' values are generally conservative. Her organization's mission is to bridge the education and training gap between black Americans and American conservatism, and also to try and engage white conservatives because the two have something in common. She said, "It's about understanding black history. It's about understanding that black history is on the side of conservatism, and if we can espouse these messages in a more empowering way, we'll see more black Americans, especially among black male voters, will start to see more of them aligning themselves with conservative politics. Conservatives and Republicans have an opportunity to bridge that gap and build coalitions that uphold conservative values," she said. And Cherise Lane grew up in a Christian home where her grandparents were pastors. Her mother raised her as a Christian. She attended Victor Christian Academy in Orlando, Florida, a predominantly black Christian school. Lane didn't realize she was conservative into middle school. Both young black conservatives say that all black Americans are not progressives. Winsome Sears, who was just elected to Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, attributed her victory to voters who were tired of seeing blacks and whites pitted against each other. Sears said that historically, black Americans have generally been conservative. Conservatism has nothing to do with political parties, but with values. You can be a conservative and not be a Republican. You can be a conservative and yet at the same time, you can be a Democrat. The point is, it doesn't mean they are necessarily liberal or have to be Democrats. Former CNN anchor Chris Cuomo was fired from CNN on Saturday over allegations that he used media resources to assist his brother, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, in a sex scandal and his own sexual misconduct issues. CNN chief Jeff Zucker was allegedly shocked by the extent to which Cuomo used media resources to assist his brother, but Cuomo insisted that Zucker definitely knew. In any case, Cuomo is entangled in his brother's scandal. He used his position to advise his brother on how to handle the matter and used sources and connections to identify his brother's accusers, suggesting that he is someone who could try to cover up such allegations or make them disappear. Chris Cuomo is facing new allegations of a sexual misconduct by a junior staffer while he was working at another station. A former colleague at ABC News, Shelley Ross, says he grabbed her buttocks cheek without permission at a bar in 2005, for which he has apologized. It seems that the anchor and his brother are cut from the same cloth. His boss, Jeff Zucker, personally recruited Cuomo to come to the station and allowed him to interview his brother during primetime. He was Zucker's pet and CNN's top primetime star. To protect its commercial and ideological interests, CNN will protect him as much as possible. So far, the two allegations of sexual misconduct come when he was at another network. But if Cuomo is a serial sexual harasser who has inevitably done some of the same things at CNN, then there is no doubt that he will face additional charges, and CNN will inevitably try to protect him. Cuomo is said to be ready to sue CNN. We wonder if Cuomo and CNN will end up in the same boat. CNN was hit with another big problem, Dustin Heiss's case against CNN host Don Lemon, who accused him of sexual assault 2 years ago, is expected to end up in court early next year. Heiss is seeking closure and peace of mind. He accused the CNN host of sexually assaulting him at a bar in Long Island, New York in the summer of 2018. Heiss recently criticized CNN as a predator protection machine and a network full of predators and perverts. They defame and smear victims and protect predators and perverts with impunity. He said he was glad to see some accountability finally emerge with the firing of Chris Cuomo and the fact that Lemon would have to testify under oath in the near future. CNN had supported Lemon as it had Cuomo at the beginning, until a scathing revelation by the New York Attorney General's office about Chris Cuomo's involvement in protecting his brother, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, finally forced CNN to fire him in the face of the truth. Heiss rejected several settlement offers from CNN, which he felt was going out of its way to protect one of its most famous anchors, Lemon. They tried to wear me down, to intimidate witnesses in my case, and they released confidential personal information about me. They are complicit. Lemon denied all wrongdoing, calling the lawsuit frivolous. The leftist media and the Democratic administration want to play down inflation so much that they continue to close their eyes and say that there is no real risk of inflation in the US, and slyly argue that a little inflation is actually good news. The Pew Research Center published a study in late November showing that inflation in the US is the third worst in the world. Americans continue to suffer a supply chain crisis, labor market problems, and a massive infusion of government money into the economy under the far-left policies of the Biden administration. From the third quarter of 2019 to the third quarter of 2021, the U.S. will see the largest change in annual inflation behind only Brazil and Turkey. Top Democratic economist Larry Summers says the rise of anti-racist woke math is a threat to national security. Summers, the Harvard economist who led the National Economic Council under Obama, shared a letter on Monday signed by nearly 600 academics condemning the so-called woke math initiative in K-12 schools. The letter says woke math devalues basic math courses like algebra and limits advanced math courses to close the achievement gaps. Summers says rigorous math instructions is necessary for economic and national security. Adrian Mims, one of the signatories, said educators should focus on enhancing advanced math courses for students rather than trying to lower standards. Radical education activists want to purge the math curriculum of so-called racist practices, including showing your work and coming up with the right answer. In other words, you better give the wrong answer more often and show your stupidity so you're not racist. It is surprising that the method used by these far-left radical education activists to close the math achievement gap is such a foolish method. Wouldn't it be faster and easier for schools to just do a better job teaching fundamental math? Democratic donors have played a major role in promoting this new popular trend in math education. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funds the so-called Pathway to Equitable Math, which asks teachers to observe how math is used to defend capitalist, imperialist, and racist views. This sounds a lot like the harmful lies of the CCP's famous slogan during Mao's Cultural Revolution: "The more you know about science, the worse you are." Proponents of anti-racist curricula often push for the elimination of advanced math classes in order to close the achievement gap for students. The open letter says this foolish approach undermines opportunities to gain the skills needed for upward social mobility. The current trend would leave America further behind, reducing access to advanced math. It would also elevate trendy but superficial courses over foundational skills and would do lasting damage to STEM education in the United States and increase inequality. The letter states that eliminating advanced math courses would particularly hurt public school students, putting them at a disadvantage compared to students in private schools. It also warns that such reforms would reduce American students' proficiency in calculus, algebra, and logical thinking, skills that are even more important in today's competitive world landscape. We are truly amazed that anti-racism has entered the field of teaching mathematics and is advocating that the worse the level of the mathematics, the better. Where exactly are these people trying to lead America? And that's it for today, my friends. Check out the playlist right here for more eye-opening content. You can join me in the Eye Opener Telegram chat room and follow me on Newmaker, Gab, Parler, and Getter. Now, don't forget, please sign up to the email list so we can stay in touch. I'd like to thank you all. I'll see you next time.